Hey guys, welcome to Video Game Club, our first episode in a series on the Sega Genesis. Voted on by you guys, it's Sonic the Hedgehog. I am once again playing on the Retron 5, but for those of you who don't know what Retron 5 it is a retro console that can play up to 5 different consoles. It is hardware emulation, but it can only play off the cartridge. So I am using a for real Sega Genesis cartridge in case somebody's like, he doesn't actually own the game. I do own the game. So this is the original Sonic the Hedgehog. It was not a launch title for the Sega Genesis. When the Sega Genesis came out, Sonic the Hedgehog didn't exist yet. This was Sega's Mario Killer. And we'll see how it stacks up. Very popular when it came out. Green Hill Zone, Act 1. I have, in the very first Sonic, a lot of people don't seem to realize this because in some of the remakes they added it, but there's no spin dash. So if I hold down and hit the jump button, all I have is a jump and a run. While running, I can duck, and that will cause Sonic to go into a spin dash-like roll, which will damage enemies. This is Green Hill Zone, which is famous in the series. Another thing about this game that was impressive at the time was all the layers of parallax scrolling. You can see that the water is one layer, the waterfall section is another layer, and then there's a third layer in the background. That's 3 layers of parallax. And that's a faux 3D effect. It gives an effect of depth of field. And you can also see that it not only parallaxes left and right, but if I jump, it parallaxes up and down. Like, similar to what real life would look like. I mean, it's not perfect or anything, but considering when this game came out, it's very impressive. Now, there's no supersonic form in the original Sonic the Hedgehog either. There are Chaos Emeralds to collect in bonus levels. If I get 50 rings and hit a checkpoint, I'll enter a bonus level. We can look at that. Alright, I got 50 rings. Just need to not get hit by anything. Oh, that's... And that's Green Hill Zone 1. Stages were short and fast. The original Sonic the Hedgehog is not a long game. So you have these bonus stages. I can jump. And you hit the R button and it will change the rotation of the stage. Which is not what I want. I want to get to the middle. I don't want to hit those red things. Actually, that may be okay. Yep. What I want is that Chaos Emerald. So I need to get rid of these things without falling into the game over one. There we go. And we got a Chaos Emerald. Sonic the Hedgehog music is always famous for being good, and it started right here on the original Sega Genesis Sonic the Hedgehog 1. Some very impressive tunes. The Sega Genesis gets a lot of flack for having some poor sound. It was not that the Genesis was incapable of producing good sound, because Sonic the Hedgehog here proves that it could. It's just that it was kind of hard to program sound for, and a lot of developers were, for lack of a better illustration, they were just lazy. And so they used, you kind of have, kind of like today you have engines that make the job of a developer easier to develop polygons and things like that for, like Unity engine or Unreal, things like that. And this age, they didn't have bespoke engines for game design, but they did have them for sound design. And there was this particular sound package that came out for the Genesis that made coding sound for the Genesis a lot easier, but it was awful. So a lot of companies, because it was easier and games were, under time pressure then, just like they are today, they would use the awful sound engine. Oh, I missed the ring. They'd use the awful sound engine in order to speed up the process, and rather than making their own engines or using more expensive engines. Alright, we're in Green Hill Zone Act 3. Not, you know, the 2-act structure. Oh, that felt like a bad thing, but it wasn't. Did not become present in Sonic games until later, so. So some of these zones have 3 acts, some of them have 2. I think there might even be a zone that has only 1 act. I'm not sure. I hope I'm not in trouble here. Here we go. Another thing that you can do in this game, which is really interesting, is you can slope jump. And that's a thing for all Sonic games. And that's really when you get, you know, to tell the difference between a casual player like me and a skilled player is whenever they can build up the speed and then find a slope, jump off that slope, and just get huge jumps. Because Sonic stages are designed to have multiple paths. The fast path is always the top. Whoa! Another thing I should probably mention now about Sonic the Hedgehog games is they're kind of notoriously glitchy. And the first Sonic the Hedgehog is not an exception to that. And what just happened there is I clipped through the floor. I also hit a checkpoint back there, I thought, which I did not get to keep. This waterfall is pretty famous for being a test of how good your display setup is. There's a lot of shimmering artifacts and displays that are not real great, but since I'm running this on HDTV, the Retron 5, it's doing a pretty good job of settling all that for me. I think I can... Yeah. Oh. Need more speed. What's the answer in the Sonic game? Always more speed. I died. You need more speed. Oh. Yeah, there's another thing that Sonic 1 doesn't have that a lot of other Sonic games do, is invincibility frames. This game does not have any. So when you lose your rings and then bounce into spikes, there is literally no recovery. I did that again. I'm down to 1 life. Oh. So we're going to try not to die. That's just how we play video games, right? Is to try not to die. So we're going to slow down in here. Oh. Da-da. Good song. Alright, this is going to be a boss. Okay, pick up rings. Oh, we're in trouble. Got him. Oof. I haven't played this game in a while. And we're going to set the animals free. Good for us. Hey, we made it through the first act. Alright. Marble Zone, Act 1. This is the act where things slow down a lot. It's not to say they remain slow. I mean, there are still fast stages. But this song is kind of a, we'll call it an homage to a classic tune. It gets back to the part that's kind of borrowed. As the girls go by, my oh my. Yeah, like I said, this game, I had to slow down a little bit. Ooh. One thing that Sonic games are often accused of is unfair obstacles to slow down your speed. But to be fair, you don't even have to be going fast if you get hit by something. And I am really stinking this up. Some of the thing about this game is that it's not unfair per se, because these games were designed to be played unlike, wow, look at that clip. Unlike we play games today, which is, today we design games to play, oh gosh, I am really glad that thing didn't fall on me. I'm sure it would have died. Oh, jeez, it squished. We play these games today, you know, where you sit down and you go to the beginning of the end, and oh, okay, I picked up some rings. And Sonic and games like Sonic were not meant to be played that way. You were meant to play it, die, and start all over, and then play back to that point, get better, and go on. And so obstacles that seem unfairly placed, they are, but after you've played this game, you know, 100 times because you're a kid with no money, you know, you've sharpened your skill, you know where everything is, you know, it becomes sort of muscle memory. And I'm not saying that was the best way to design games, but it was certainly how games were designed at the time. So a lot of people, well, crap. A lot of people will criticize a game like this, benchmarking it against, you know, the rules that we play by today, and they didn't play by those rules. Okay, I am really stinking it up. It was a baby seal. Yeah. Another thing developers like to do is to have you run away from things, because everybody was a huge fan of Indiana Jones. Oh my gosh. Well, like lava in this game, but you know, boulders and others. I'm gonna die. Alright guys, that's my game over, and while I'm sure I have continues, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Video Game Club where we looked at Sonic the Hedgehog. Watch me stink at it a little bit. Remember, the vote is ongoing, so if you have a game for the Sega Genesis you'd like to see played that I own, go check out the Classroom link that I have on Google Classroom. But until then,